Okay, folks, welcome back. Welcome back to our regularly scheduled paint session. Okay, so this evening's goal is to get enough things done so that tomorrow morning I can go spray, go seal. So that means sealing the A13, sealing this KV2, weather this guy up so I can do that KV2. We got some details to paint on both of these. Do the other two KV1s, and then we can stop for the night. That's what the goal is going to be. And I hope I have enough of the Vallejo dull coat, whatever the hell it's called. I am pretty low. And you know what? I'm thinking about it. So let me go ahead and reorder it. Although it lasted quite a bit. And I'll show you which one I use. I believe I got this. I'm going to go to 2022. I think I got it in 2022. But I've been pretty happy with it, even though I had some hiccups with it when I was using the .35 needle. Well, I guess it was 2023. I'm pretty sure I got it through Amazon. I've only had the Tamiya, the side cutter, for less than a year. Wow. Perception is reality. Here it is. Oh, almost exactly a year. I got it in February 11th of last year. This stuff right here. Vallejo Premium Airbrush Color Matte Varnish. I get it on Sunday. They have other ones that are larger amount of paste. That's 200 milliliters. How much is this one? 60? What if they make one that's more quantity? The .5, man. Maybe I should do that tomorrow. Maybe I should do an airbrush session. I'm gonna warn you guys, I get any kind of feedback like, you should be using a mask or something like that. You can go fly a kite up your own ass. You know what I mean? I'm in a well ventilated area. I'm not using very much material and I'm blowing it away from myself. Okay. No, they have one that's like a Mecha something or another. Vallejo Mecha Matte Varnish. It's 200 milliliters. And it's out of stock. Okay, that's fine. We'll just reorder the one that we used before. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we definitely want to seal these guys up so we can keep the momentum going. We don't want to be put in a situation where it's like, I don't know what to do next. So, this KV2 is complete. So we're going to do the same thing with it. We're going to weather it. And then we'll have 2 left, and we'll do the KV1 turrets. Okay? And if I run out of oomph, then I'll label them in the morning. I do my best labeling in the mornings, usually. The best communist graffiti in the mornings. All right, so we're going to grab the U.S. field drab. Let's move this guy out of the way. And let's put on the super readers. They're 3.75, I think is what they are. I need readers to be able to read what's on the readers. Is that ironic? Plus 325, that's what it is. Instead of the just plus 125, I think these are as little, yeah. I got a little amount as I could possibly get. And those now accompany me everywhere I go. I got like 8 of them laying around. All right, so we're just going to dry brush this KV. I know a long time ago when I was doing DBA stuff, I had some guy, I wasn't even doing World War II stuff. And this one guy came in here, made some kind of a comment like, KV2 is best tank or something like that. You know, like, where are you now, pal? Now we're doing World War II stuff. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? My 18-year hiatus of not doing World War II stuff. I'm looking forward to doing some aircraft. In 1/72nd scale, of course. And one of the things that I'm going to do while I'm doing airbrushing tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and base paint some of those things that I was talking about I was going to paint for like terrain, like those fuel depots or whatever. Go ahead and base them black so we can start the process going on that. I do have a Tiny War Games UK mat for the desert. I actually have 2 of them. 2 of them that are the same, but he was just supposed to replace the one mat that was damaged. He replaced it with one that wasn't the same but was temperate. And then he gave me another desert one that was the same. I'm like, I'm just gonna call it a wash. You know. Poor guy's overworked or something, but I'm gonna leave him alone. He finally did send me, but what I was looking for, because the desert one was actually fine. There was nothing damaged on it. It was the temperate one that was damaged, and honestly, it's a shame because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I just wish it wasn't so thin, but I wish the fold marks hadn't had some of the color come off of it. That's really the problem. But the actual pattern that was on it, stellar. So I got a different one that I don't like as much. But hey, at least they're different. And I'm just going to call it a wash. A note to self, don't buy a terrain map sight unseen. Buy it in person. Here's the bottom of that one. And hell, we can do this. This is handy, not gluing this on, honestly. There we go. Well, we're going to have one weekend where there's no winter weather. It's going to get up into the 80s. Didn't really matter what the weather was. That doesn't really keep me from spraying. All right, we're going to kick some of this dirt and stuff up on here. Same thing here. You can't go crazy. You need to leave some room for the rocky sand to be on here. Okay, and even on the turret, see how it looks like there's this wet spot here, which is really the gloss. Once you varnish over that, it'll all disappear. Okay, and then we're going to get the Iraqi sand. The Maroon Cardinal. Welcome. So we actually have a lot of birds at this house. We have kind of a backyard that's pretty flat. It's got maybe 10 pine trees in the backyard. And there's no underbrush. They're just straight up. I mean, they got needles way up there. But there's a lot of bird activity, including cardinals. And a bird I had not seen in a very long time, since my childhood, is just a straight bluebird. You know, where they're like almost this color, and then the breast is like almost like a rust. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like them as long as they don't start shitting everywhere on the back porch. You know, be good to me and I'll be good to you. Start being like an asshole, we're going to have problems. So there's quite a bit of bird activity. Yeah, bluebirds, cardinals, finches, stuff like that. A couple woodpeckers, luckily they stay away. They're destructive bastards. We had a couple pine trees, a couple palm trees that went down at the other house because of woodpeckers. And my least favorite bird of all, mockingbirds. Just an asshole. I tell you what, if I was a bird of prey, there's no way I'd let a mockingbird boss me around. You see it all the time. You'll see like some hawk or something like that gets close to somewhere, and he actually has the balls to not stand up to a mockingbird. The mockingbirds are noisy. They're repetitive. They say four little chirps, and different things. They're like what do you call those people that are multiple personalities? That's how the mockingbirds are like. They're multiple personalities. Freaking nuts. Not a fan of them. I haven't seen any around here. But we do get us some cardinals. Cardinals are your favorite birds. Maybe it's the red that makes them stand out. But usually I only see blue jays and robins. What of them happen to be living under the porch for a few years? I wish birds were slower, so you could like look at them more. But it's like they're on meth all the time. I guess it keeps them alive. Because if they were slower, then they'd be prey. But they're always like, dude, man, chill out, man. I don't want to, I don't even want to touch you. I just want to, look at you. You know? We got these finches that come in. I'm going to call them finches. They're small like that. And they hop around our grass. And they don't even, because we've got this area where when we got this house, they were feeding the birds in this area. So I made sure to when we put more bird feed, we put it in the same place so they'd know to, come back and get that. Well, the finches, the little birds, they're not really interested in the bird feed at all. They're hopping around on the grass and they're picking at stuff. And I'm like, oh man, they're picking at insects. Awesome. Eat them all up. But then sometimes they get under the porch and they want to start getting excited and pooping on things. So sometimes we got to leave the ceiling fan on outside. But I welcome having the birds here. The birds I really, really like, birds of prey. Big fan. I don't have any cats, so I don't have a problem with them. So we got some details that we got to paint on here, like the headlight, the little machine gun, stuff like that. We'll get that before the night's over. But we've got 4 turrets. I could probably do the bottom holes of these vehicles. Yeah, let me go ahead and do the bottom holes of these. I got 4 turrets to interchange with them. Let's go ahead and do that while this is fresh in our mind. And actually I have 2 more KV turrets as well. So I can make these 4 tanks either all KV2s or all KV1s or any combination in between. I just have to repair the hatch on one of them, leave it open. I want the option to be able to have a KV with an open hatch at the top. They got a fairly large crew, fairly large amount of people in the crew. And it's off to a relatively early start again. Oh, there he is. El Nordico. Didn't start your own YouTube channel yet, huh? It's a pain in the ass. Oh, we need you here. It's a real pain in the ass getting the first 1,000 subscribers. It takes forever. It takes forever. And I guess I've been getting new subscribers that are into modeling, and I've been losing guys that are DBA guys, because I'll be like, hey, you got 2 new subscribers. And I'm like, yeah, but my count didn't go up. So you gain 2 and you lose 2. But I said, I'm going to keep the DBA videos on there. I'm not taking them down. But I'm also not creating new ones. I told you I talked to him the other night. I hadn't seen him in, well, since the last convention. So that would have been late September. And, yeah, the old crew pretty much, with the exception of like his buddy that plays during the daytime with him, and one guy that shows up at night, pretty much stopped coming over there. I told him, I said, well, that wasn't my intention in not showing up, was to, take away your thunder or something like that. I don't care. I'm not one of those, I'm just not showing up because it's not really conducive to work with my schedule. But I asked him what we was planning on doing about DBA. He says he was going to run some stuff, but at the show. Well, have fun with it. Now we got some of the people, old DBA players, are now. I saw they posted some games, and they posted an Art de la Guerre event at our show, and 4 ex-DBA players. They didn't just leave DBA to do that. They had already left and decided to play that instead. They were signed up for it. Yeah, 2 years late. 2 years from now, they won't be playing it. And some people are just nomadic. I am not playing Art de la Guerre. It's too many troops. It's more another vague game. And the guy took a lot of Phil's stuff and didn't give Phil any credit for it. And I'm just not interested. That would keep me from doing World War II stuff. So no to you. I'm not letting anybody I'm letting nothing interfere with this. Last edition DBA I played was DBA First Edition. Used to play that a lot, actually. I looked at the set of rules and I'm like, holy crap. I wouldn't have played that. Blades are too powerful. Everybody's showing up with Vikings and stuff. I never played it until 2.2 had already come out. Thank goodness. Otherwise, I would have had to unlearn even more stuff. Now, it's ran its course for me. I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot happier because the stuff I'm doing now doesn't depend on anybody else. Like, if nobody wants to play this, that's fine. I didn't invite them anyways. DA 1.0 was a game Frank Chadwick played often. Had so many epic battles against him. Was he a lot of fun to play again, or is he kind of low energy? He looks like he's kind of low energy. I'm not low energy. When did 2.0 come out? 2001. And then 2.2, which is the first one I played, came out in 2004. I don't think there was huge changes between 2.0 and 2.2. Mr. Greg. Frank is one of the best gamers I've played games with. He isn't all over the place energy wise, but he is a fun opponent. So what you're saying is I need to play with him to give him a little bit more energy. Hey, I loved his command decision. That was what I grew up playing. I like that's what I grew up playing. We played the original one that came out in 96 or 97. And then we played the next one. Second edition. I still had it. I didn't sell it. And I had Barbarossa 25 too, which is a bathtub campaign for that. He is, though, responsible for the worst war game I've ever played in my entire life. Hey, they can't all be winners. What game is that? Soldier King. Woo! That's horrendous. Even keel energy-wise, when he picks it up energy-wise, because he's teaching people how to play the games. Yeah, I suck at explaining things to people. I'm sorry, I do. I know a couple of guys that are local that are really good at it. I'm not good at it at all. I mean, if I've got like a diagram or a flow chart or something like that, yeah, but I invariably forget to mention something, and I guess I wouldn't have been a very good teacher. Okay, and the last one. Except I gotta remember, we put the Iraqi sand on these two, but not here. He also doesn't get salty over bad dice rolls or losing the game. You've made very few. You've met really. You have too many salty. You got a lot of people that whine about dice rolls. Dice roll whiners. Hey, somebody's got to win the game. And sometimes it isn't you. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Just not meant to be. The people that whine about bad dice rolls don't bother me as much as the ones that are constantly switching dice, thinking that somehow they can figure it, they can make up for it. It's like the grown-ups that are buying lottery tickets. Like, come on, man, who are you fooling? I mean, yeah, sometimes the dice are broken, but odds are it's just the luck of the draw. Gets even worse with Magic the Gathering players. Oh, yeah. And those guys just... I worked at the hobby store when that game came out, and I'll be honest with you, I personally hated that game. Because the people came in, and they would look at cards, and it was like, you're just buying shit. You know, you're not learning about history. You're not... and people do whatever the hell they want with their lives, and I'm just saying, you know, they were weird. They would come in, and there's nothing... It wasn't even that they were collecting, because it's not like they wanted one of every card. It was like gambling. You know, it was like gambling with stinky people. Unkempt folks. You routinely switch dice in my war games. What I mean is I have a dice stash and rolling tray for the game I'm playing and just toss whatever happened to pick it up. I don't switch dice in the middle of the game. Because I was like, oh, the dice roll's bad. It wants a day off. Screw you. You're working all night. I generally like to pick dice that look like they belong with the game I'm playing. So, you know, I wouldn't use like... If I'm playing the Germans or something like that in a World War II game, I'm not using green dice. You know, because it just doesn't... It's not part of the experience. And I have no tolerance for people that pretend to cheat accidentally. One of the reasons I don't mind not playing DVA, because I started getting out of it as people I hadn't seen in a long time started to get back involved in it, and they were shifty. And I don't want any part of that, because I'm going to say something nasty to them, and I don't give a shit. I don't deal with dishonorable people well. You know, they don't want to play with cocked dice, but as soon as it's in their favor, they want to play with them. And be consistent. You actually need to get more dice. You know who doesn't need more dice? Rick. I invoke the nerd burglar. I want to replace all the larger dice I have with mini versions for easier storage with the games. Oh, you live in one of those Japanese hotels or something? Come on, man. It doesn't take up any space. Come on, man. Rick does not need any more dice. He can't afford you to send anything, man. The shipping is extremely expensive for everything. This post-COVID world sucks, man. Everything's so damn expensive. You know? You got BC, you got AD, and now PC, post-COVID. Everything post-COVID sucks. Nerd burglar, ooga! It's a red light special. Guess what you came across this morning? You didn't let me guess, Greg. Probably the last Liquitex resin sand available for sale in Australia. If not the universe. The local art supply shop had it at a good price. You like smaller dice because I can roll them easier into my dice tray without them jumping out. Mitch wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I still have some of it. And I don't think I'm going to use it because if I run out, I kind of saved it in case I have to do any repairs on the stands that I have that already have the resin sand on them. But that's DBA stands, and I don't think I'm going to be adding any more units to any of my DBA stands. I see you still got DBA running strong in Australia. That's good. I was just saying some of the ex-DBA players, not the ones that played with us in Florida, the guys that used to play with us 10 years ago and jumped ship and were nomadic, they're all signed up to play Art de la Guerre at this next convention. So good for them. You can do whatever you want. I won't play it. The French rules, as some people call them. I don't have a problem with them being in French. I don't have a problem with the French. With 2 unopened jars that should last me until I shuffle off this mortal coil. Oh, man. You said 5-player. The first thing I thought of is that one of those... You have this game, Rick. What is it? The Shadows of Camelot or something like that. Isn't that a 5-player game? That's one of those games where somebody's got to play a turncoat. God, I hate that. You don't like that either. And I don't blame you. Like, I don't mind being an asshole, but you got to deserve it. Not just some random, just in spite. Shadows over Camelot. I played it one time. I hated it. I don't like the turncoat thing. That and Mitch doesn't like that one either. What's the other one that we all hate? Battlestar Galactica. God, we hated that game. And it's funny because Mitch and I didn't play it together. Mitch and I didn't play it together. We both hated it. It's really annoying when your local gaming person that you play with loves a game that you can't stand. And that's happened to me before. A long time ago, I had a buddy of mine. I played with him. He was the only person I knew that played board war games. He loved Rise and Decline of the Third Reich. And I hate Rise and Decline of the Third Reich. You know, and I played it with him several times, and it was actually worse than every time I played it, it got worse. And then I had another one that loved Avalon Hill games. Cool. And his favorite game was 1830. Like, it looks like ass. It's like Catan on a bad day. You know, it's just ugly looking as shit. You know, so... Life's too short to play games you don't like. Rick, are there any games you bought that you dislike so much you gave them to somebody? Actually, you need to give them to somebody you don't like, so they won't ask you to play the game. DBA is still going strong here down under. Played in Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra, Goulburn, don't know where that is, Sydney, and Brisbane. The traveler. What's wrong with Perth? You're not man enough to go play in Perth? Perth is like me going to play in California. Except flyover country's all a big frickin' desert. Be like if Rick lived in the middle of a frickin' desert. Well, Rick was saying that his neighbors or whatever are all up in arms because they're building a water park, like literally a mile from his neighborhood. And it's not going to open like for 2 years, 2 or 3 years. Like, what's the problem, man? If you don't know how to swim, you know, you got like 3 years to figure it out. I'm up for them building anything that's not crummy, that's not churches. Why? Because churches don't pay taxes. So you have all this land that's not taxed, and then the homeowners have to make up for that. I don't know how they freaking did it. I don't know how they did that. You know, churches don't pay taxes. And we got tons of churches here. And I'm fine if people want to go to church, but they're tax-free. It has to be picked up by everything else. Crop circles in those cornfields. What about any Malachi sightings? What the hell is that? I know, I'm excited to finally live next to something that isn't cornfields. 5-hour plane ride with a tailwind. I know some people just don't want civilization. You know, and I don't want to live in New York City, but I don't want to live in the boondocks either, you know, where you got to get a passport to see somebody with teeth. Children of the Corn related. I haven't seen that. Middle Earth strategy tends to be peripheral game in Australia. You know, I don't want to live in an urban setting, but I don't want to live a place where it's Sunday and there's nothing to do other than freaking die, you know? I'm a suburbia guy. And I guess if I had a choice, I'd rather live in the sticks than in New York. Or, you know, a super urban place like that. I don't mind visiting those places. I don't want to live in a place like that. That's just cruel. You have to fight everybody all the time for everything. Whether it's a work day, a weekend. Everybody's in your business. Everybody's got an attitude. Not my kind of thing. Boonies are where I want to live. No neighbors to annoy the shit out of me. I could set up a shooting range, horseshoe pits. Horseshoe pits. That's what everybody's waiting to do. Cornhole boards and have a hell of a gaming shed. No, go live in the shed and game in the house. I don't want to play in a freaking place that's hot. Been there, done that, not doing it again. So what do you guys think of the stupid idea that I had about, in order to learn how to play this freaking game, I gotta do like a live session of it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna stay on track. I'm never gonna learn the freaking game. Just like, okay, here's a scenario. We're gonna have to, you know, this tank needs to get off the board or whatever. You know, you got an anti-tank gun or something. Just something really simple. It doesn't have to be balanced. Just to do the mechanics. When Lorraine is out this afternoon visiting a girlfriend for martinis and wine, I much prefer martinis. Champagne and, what are those things called? Hurricanes. You'll watch the last video on the A13. Well, no, there's going to be more videos on the A13. The last one I've done so far. Yes, live learning session. Trying to make sure the gaming shed actually has heat. What the hell you need heat for, man? We're all insulated. And air conditioning to be comfy year-round. And a ceiling fan. Ceiling fans are super important. Got to move that air around. Got to move that air. It's the first thing I miss when I stay in a hotel. Oh, there's no ceiling fans here? There are hotels with ceiling fans. They're rare. They're very, very rare. Okay. Now, we rinse. You got dibs on controlling Niagara armored car on the game. Hey, your mission might be get off the damn board. You know, while a 2-pounder shoots at you or something like that, or 45 millimeter or something like that. You refuse to sit anywhere that's cold to play games. I refuse to sit anywhere hot to play games. The cold bothers my sinuses a lot. I don't want my balls sticking to the chair. There, I said it. All right. Now the fun part. Man, we got some Soviet steel here. Bend over, comrade. Here it comes. Got to move the air around, especially after a fart. I will risk getting inside just to drive her off the board. Oh boy. Lucas. I can't tell what's your name and what you wrote. I think that's all your name. Lucas with Schrodinger's cat. Isn't that the name of that cat thing? Is it in the box or is it not in the box? You want the temp to be 60, 70, no humidity. That's ideal temp for me. I love wearing long sleeves. So 50s, please. Even 40s. I'm well insulated. And I'm only gamer size medium. Just saying. Okay. The turrets. The band of... What do you call a bunch of turrets? A gaggle of turrets? A travesty of turrets. Okay, these two are the up-armored KV-1 turrets. And these are the armored ones with the bolt-on applique. And I believe the other night I found some candidates for what we're going to label on these things so that I don't spend a ton of time on this. Okay. We liked this one. This was like the Rote Fighter or something like that. Okay, so we got these two. These two are, even though it's black and white, these two are definitely the up-armored ones. So that's two candidates to that. I like this one that has a B on it. It's just stupid. I like this one that has the white dot on the back with a 309 as one of the ones with the up-armored KVs. What else do we have here? Okay, let's start with the easy one. Let's do the unarmored ones first. Okay, so we got two candidates. I really love doing this shit. Okay, let's do the one that just has, what does it say? It says fighter. Yeah, fighter. Can't you tell? It's why it's 17 letters long. You see that now, Tony? Spend a few winters up north. No, it's full of Yankees. Would I be surprised if it said he actually liked the KV-1 tank? No. No, it's a good tank. You know? It's a good tank if the Soviets gave a shit about the training their crews. Okay, Australian Greg, thanks for stopping by. Always welcome. Okay. So here are the two turrets in question. One's there, and one has an open hatch. So I'm going to do the fighter one with the hatch closed. And this one looks like Cyborg something, 700. It actually says Suvorov. Let's do the Suvorov one first with the open hatch. Let's do that. All right, let's move this Soviet steel out of the way. And let's get the wet palette out here. I was actually happy using it the other day, even though it was taking up way too much real estate. The KV-1 looks like a tank, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah, most people... I don't like the KV-1 41-42 version. Its turret's a little too roundish for my taste. But this early one, I like the way it looks. And I definitely like the ones with the bolt-on armor. It looks badass. You know. Most Soviet tanks look good though. Most Soviet tanks look good. There's exceptions. There's exceptions. I got some ugly ones coming. I got a bunch of T-26s with the early turret. Those aren't super attractive. I can't think of a Soviet tank I absolutely detest. Can't think of one. No, and there's super ugly German ones. I don't think there's any Soviet ones that are just like, man, oh, that thing again. Early KV-1 turret's better looking turret, yeah. And I like that SMK that you like. They only made one of them, I think. SMK is a good looking vehicle. You know, this running gear looks good. It's good looking running gear. Good looking running gear. Rick, when are you going to get into World War II? I love it when you run into somebody who's 10 years older than me. So, you know, an experienced war gamer. And they go, I've never played World War II. I'm like, what the hell have you been playing, man? I mean, World War II is what you play, and then there's other things that you play on the side. But, like, being an old-ass man and never played World War II. Really want to build a 1/35th scale model SMK. They only made one, right? They only made one of that. What's that big ass ugly thing? An Su-14? Had like a naval gun on it. That thing's ugly as sin, though. SMK looks good. SMK looks good. Your only experience with World War II gaming is Memoir 44. You've never played Axis and Allies? I guess not, if that's your only experience. Okay. Let's do this cyborg thing first. I know it doesn't say cyborg, but... All right. Uh-oh. That's why I don't like putting this stuff on there. I just picked up some paint. I don't want to put that anywhere else. Bye-bye. Off with you. There we go. And this. one SMK, yeah. I think it was only one. I came across a model the other day of a KV9. I'm like, all right, what the hell is a KV9? A KV9 was apparently a KV that they experimented with. Looks just like a KV1, although honestly the turret looks a little bit more like a KV1S. And it has a 122 millimeter gun in it. But it's not a casement, it's turreted. And they made 11 of them. And it didn't take off. But the company, it's either a Russian or Ukrainian company called PST make one. And you can hardly find bad looking tanks, but really meh looking ones. Some of the British tanks like the A30 and Valentine are very odd. I'm not a Valentine fan. They're too short. Now, that's probably practical, but they're just not very imposing. You know? You've won global exercise playing as Axis powers. My opponents underestimated me because I was 30 years younger than they were. An A30. Is that a Challenger? I think an A30 is a Challenger. A30. A30. We're here to learn, folks. A30 British tank. Yep, it's a Challenger. It's got a really long barrel. And yeah, it's got a weird turret. Almost like it belongs on some pre-dreadnought. I just don't like them because late in the war, they're pretty much all like super drab. Or even worse, they put a white star on them. But that 17-pounder will... It just looks like something you made in the backyard. It'd be like I called up Nordic and said, hey, Nordic, I got some sheet metal. Why don't we build us one of these? Okay. You know, it just looks weird. It looks unfinished. Like, here's a wooden mock-up of this thing. It just doesn't look... It just looks weird. You know what I really dislike? It just reminded me of these guys here. Got the British tank crew there. I really dislike the U.S. tanker uniform. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. It's just ridiculous looking. It's the helmet. The helmet is just like... The U.S. tanker's helmet, I don't care how practical it was, looks-wise. It makes the Soviet one look like, you look like a rock star. Let me know you want to build a tank. There's a guy in these, I think it was even his shorts or something like that. Some guy out in Asia somewhere. Okay. I don't know if he was in Asia, but their ethnicity was definitely from Asia. And he built his kid out of wood like a Hetzer. And, it was probably a half-scale Hetzer. And it was all out of wood. And that was cool. That was really cool. It didn't fire or anything, obviously, but it was like a kid's toy. Like, oh, my kid wants a tank. All right. And this guy was handy, and he built him like a half-scale Hetzer. Pretty cool. White stars were common across most Allied tanks for air recognition, but you're right when you say it just looks unfinished. Yeah. Yeah, I don't put white stars on anything other than American vehicles. It just doesn't... Just one of those things I don't do. Just like I don't do Polish and Czech Soviet vehicles for, liberation of Europe. I don't do that. I don't do them. It just doesn't sit well with me. It's like, who you fooling? I don't like it. Yeah, we all have our preferences. I know several people who never play Germans. We all have our reasons for doing different things. If I'm going to be creative, there's just some things I just don't want to create. Be back in 5 minutes. All right, we got to go. We got to go. When he comes back, we're not here. Okay, back to the drawing of Suvorov. So the C is bigger than any of the other ones. So I'm not worried about having enough space for it. I want to make sure, and let me zoom in on this so you can see what I'm talking about. See how the C is significantly bigger? But I don't want to make it so big and then not leave enough space for the other things. So I'm going to actually skip the C and I'm going to start on that next letter. It looks like a Y. All right, but I'm going to leave enough space here to be able to work on it. So the C is going to be here, so I'm going to do the Y like that. Okay, and then we're going to be, there's a B next to it. I don't know what letters of the Cyrillic alphabet they are. I don't care. I'm going to call them by their equivalents of what they look like in the standard alphabet. So this is a B next. Okay, then an O. And then a P. Okay, and then another O and another B looks like. Just see how we're doing here. This is easy as shit. But again, not my first rodeo. And I can't do it with every brush. Part of it's me, part of it is experience, part of it is the paint that I'm using, the mixture so it flows, it doesn't get sticky, and part of it is the brush. It's a team effort. Okay, another O. Fan of the Germans for the camouflages. Let me get creative, so I usually do them in American armor. Have extended a bit towards the British for your war games, too. Yeah. Well, my favorite theater is a Russian front. Because, you know, it's both assholes killing each other. Perfect. And then the desert. Because almost everybody likes the desert. And I say almost everybody because I actually encountered somebody that didn't like the desert. But it's a very small set. It's about as big a set as the people that don't like, that think the Spitfire is an ugly aircraft. It is a very small set. It's definitely, members are counted in the single digits worldwide. And a B's last. Okay, now we'll go back and do the C. Which is larger on purpose. And the ends of the C come back and they come in, so it's not very open. It's kind of a closed in C. So I'm going to go ahead and put the vertical in first. Okay? And there's a number up here, 700. All right? So let's put that 700 up there while we're at it. This flow aid is really a miracle. But you got to make sure that you add enough. Again, I can't think of what it's called. Tint. You know, the stuff that's the paint, that's the expensive part of the paint. Otherwise, if you don't have enough of that, then you're going to, it's not going to flow properly. So the 700 almost overlaps the B. I mean the 7, I'm sorry. Doesn't surprise me to hear they're diehard Spitfire haters. Would make sense considering there are many who also think it was the best of the war, though can't contest that knowing very little. I didn't grow up knowing anybody that disliked the Spitfire. For looks. I'm just talking about looks. Every plane has its disadvantages. I said, even the Germans that got shot down by them like the Spitfire. Okay, so there's the 700. We're going to make this, we're going to thicken this thing up. Just on looks. You miss anything good? Are you a Spitfire hater? A bit of soda. I'll be right back. Spitfire is your favorite World War II fighter. It's pretty high up there. It's definitely a top 3 for me. I don't know what the other ones are. I like the ones with the freaking 20mm cannons in the wings. I'm not a fan of the tropical one with a big chin. The Habsburg chin on an aircraft. That's just the Mark 5B that was the tropical one. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but in reverse. So this psyop, we're gonna paint it backwards this way. So we're going to end in the same place. So we're going to start with a B and work backwards. So you don't end up like that one poster you did in junior high that you wanted to write, congratulations, whatever, and you start on one end and then you get to the end and the letters have to keep getting smaller and everything because you didn't plan properly instead of doing it in the middle and working your way out. Things you learn by adulting. Wish there was a good 48 scale Stuka out there. Stuka is your second favorite plane of World War II. Are we brothers or something? I love the way the Stuka looks. I think it looks wicked. What's your favorite looking Japanese aircraft? Ooh, turn the tables on something. And there's actually a lot of attractive Japanese aircraft, in my opinion. A lot of them. I don't know about most of them. I would say half of the Japanese aircraft are really attractive. The other half are a little, you know, how do you spell that? I don't know, but it starts with and it has an H, an M, and an R somewhere in there. Spitfire, Stuka, and Sturmovik. I don't know. Sturmovik's not up there for me. I know it was badass, but it's just a little too clunky. It's like a Soviet P-47. It wasn't even remotely as maneuverable. When I got my first computer, my first home computer was in 1999. I got a Gateway. There was a Gateway store in Jacksonville about an hour and a half away. And I wanted to like literally lay hands on everything. It was expensive. It was $2,000 or something, you know? Every computer I've had has been about $2,000. Just obviously the power of them goes up over time. So I go up to Jacksonville. I said, I get this. Yeah, I'll get this. Okay. It's like a week or 2 weeks or whatever to get it. They sent it to me. And one of the things it came with is the speaker, Boston Acoustics maybe, or maybe another brand. But anyhow, it came with a little boombox, okay, that sat underneath your desk. Like I don't imagine ever having another desktop computer ever. I have this laptop, and this laptop has done me really well. Because I can take it places, I can maneuver it, I can put it different places. We're going to try doing an airbrush show tomorrow in the garage. I think, even if it's short, why not? I just don't see having another desktop. But this one came with the little boombox, along with the other speakers that came with it. The boombox was about so big. It had a big hole in the center, almost like a turbine. And I had it underneath there, and it was so loud, and it blew so much air. I had this flight simulator that was called a European Air War. And you could play, I remember back in the day of playing, all the dynamics games, Aces over Europe, Aces of the Pacific, all that kind of stuff. Well, European Air War had, you could play everything in it. You could play P-47s, all kinds of planes. And when you got in a P-47 or something like that, and you took off and you cranked the engines up, it would blow so much air onto your legs. Your freaking hairs on your legs would just be blowing like you're on a wind tunnel. I just remember that, and getting in a P-47 and just getting up the speed, taking that big old jug off the ground. Honestly, a lot of Japanese fighter look pretty similar. They do. They all look smooth. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a Zero and a Ki-43. Is a Ki-43 an Oscar? Because the Oscar and the Zero, I had a long time telling the difference between them, but let's see what a Ki-43 looks like. Here's what I hate about the Japanese. You ready? Yeah, it's an Oscar. Yeah, it's basically a long an elongated or more slender Zero. Here's the thing I hate about the Japanese. Because they use that other calendar. It's a Type 99. I'm like, okay, well, what is that? I mean, give it a name or a number. I just can't remember. I'm just not familiar enough with them. All the more reason to build Japanese aircraft. Japanese planes I like are the Ki-63 Hien. Yeah, that's my favorite one. And it's called a Tony. And the Zero. The Zero's, it's here, there, or there. Mitsubishi Ki whatever looks a lot like the Stuka. Well, I can't see which one it is. There's a lot of light bombers that are really attractive that Japanese have, and they always have silly ass names like Sally or something like that. They got that huge freaking float plane. Is that the Mavis? That thing's that thing's massive. That thing is massive. You ever try to kamikaze one of those things? Have you ever tried to kamikaze a Mavis? Oh, you fuck up now. You know. I gotta build some Japanese. I've never built. You know what? That's going to be my challenge tomorrow. No, it's not. Because there's a problem with it. Nah, I can still do it. Build my little Hago. The problem with it is I'd have to commit to what my basing is going to be on the tank. And I'm just like, I can just put that off and just do it later. I got a little Hago. It's a piece of crap. And I mean, the model is not very good. KI-30. KI-30 bomber, okay? KI. You see, I just don't know them by name. You could tell me an SU-2, and I know what an SU-2 looks like. It's kind of funky, but I don't know. Oh yeah, it kind of does look like a. It looks like a. It's like a land valve. Now, I'm not a fan of those really long canopies, like the Kingfisher. I don't like those really long canopies. It's like you'd grow in a greenhouse. Did you bring your greenhouse with you? It's just a little. It's a little skeptical of their commitment to fighting in a war when you bring your greenhouse with you. But this is kind of attractive. You know. Mitsubishi Ki-21. Okay. Oh, that's a good looking plane. Is that the Sally? Oh, it looks like a B-25, but better looking. Let's face it, a B-25 is an ugly aircraft. I'm sorry if it's your favorite aircraft. It's ugly. Sorry. There's one that's even better looking than this one. That's a Sally. There's one that looks kind of like a PE-2. Like a Soviet PE-2, but it's Japanese. It's a good looking aircraft. It might be a piece of crap in real life. I'm just saying it's a good looking aircraft. I've never built a Japanese tank. I've never built a Japanese aircraft. You know what would be crazy? If I did Japanese, and I got troops to do Japanese, if I would do Japanese versus China, that would be whacked. That would be completely whacked. There's only one company I know of that makes Chinese troops, though, and they're out of plastic. I think it's Pegasus. I think Pegasus makes Chinese troops. But man, I'd need a lot of them. That'd be a lot of repeat figures. Having a Japanese fleet for war game would be fun. The ships are really neat. The aircraft have good variety. I used to have some World War II Japanese ships. A lot of the Japanese ships are really attractive. So there's a company that just came out with a bunch of 3D printed stuff. And let's see if I can find them. They're on Etsy. Here it is. It's on my recently viewed. All right, check this out. We're talking about Far East, right? WAW Battlefield. They have this one that's called Burma Hotel. Oh, look, they even have a 3D thing. That's pretty cool. The problem with a rubble building is that you have to have scatter terrain with rubble. I think these people, you can print it in different options. That's pretty neat. See if they make any. See if they make World War II Pacific Front 33 items. Ooh, they actually called it an Oriental village. Oh, people's heads are going to spin around. Asian prison camp. All right, this is getting pretty. Oh, but that's just a freaking file to print your own stuff. I'm never printing my own stuff. Jungle Outpost. I have zero interest in doing something like oh, look, they got Japanese tanks. This is like the best Japanese tank of the war that came out in any numbers. The 47 millimeter one. I have zero interest in doing stuff that involves like Marines landing on a beach. I'm just not interested in that. Burma bank damaged. Yeah, I'd say that's damaged. Wouldn't want a German fleet though. The only carrier they made never used it. It was still under the repair at the end of the war. As a naval war gamer first, I hate carriers. I'm not saying that they were useless. I just think that they ruined the game. I want I want the battleships to fight each other. So I've used carriers in a game. Oh, look at this, a train yard water tower. Well, what are these people shipping like, cost wise? It's always the shipping that scares the crap out of me because you're basically paying something for nothing. Oh, shipping from Spain, $22. No, sorry. Oh well. Wonder if they print the items off for you as well. I don't know. That is just a kind of frustration. I'd rather go back and play DBA than fool the 3D printer. So my experience, one of my first experiences in college, in like 1990, I took I took a class in college. The first time I was in the drafting program when I was finishing up high school. I was doing dual enrolled. And one of the first experiences I had was in a college class. It was CAD, computer aided drafting, right? It's not too bad. It is if you're ordering one item. You got to test it with one item, you know? And I don't want to be like, remember how you are with miniatures, right? You're like, I'm not buying any more miniatures until I paint these. That's how I am with, I'm trying something new. Like, okay, I've got to get one of these because I don't want to, my reaction when I have too many of something is to like, I don't know what to do. I have too many choices. I'm going to go do something else. That's how I work. So I got to keep myself on a really short leash. And I've been successful with it, but, you know, some people have drinking problems. My problem is if I buy too many toys, I won't want to mess with any of them. And, but anyways, getting back to CAD, computer aided drafting. I took the first class, the first semester that was ever offered of computer aided drafting at this college that I went to that I eventually graduated from. And for the final project, you know, we had digitizing tables and all that kind of stuff. And I always knew how to draw. So the hardest thing about it was to set up the paper to print the right size. Like, it's easy to scale stuff in the program, but it's like, okay, you know, so that it'll print out the right size. It was a nightmare, you know, to do that. It was just, you're doing like calisthenics and shit like that to do that. So I'm working on this project, and literally the last time, and you can only work on it at school, right? So you'd have to come in like after hours and work on this stuff, and there was a limited amount of spaces and stuff like that. Have your project saved on a three and a half floppy drive, which isn't really floppy, and it got corrupted at the very end. So I had to take the class over again. So things that are virtual, computer stuff, where you work and slave and do things for something, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong and it's gone, is not for me. Okay? This whole, it takes a long time to do this. Yeah, but I'm constantly building upon it and I have something to show for it. That's for me. So printing something and like, okay, everything's going right. All right, let me go to work. And when I come back from work, I'll be able to paint this Burma hotel or this tank or whatever it is that I can. Little do I know, an hour after I left for work, something's wrong with the print and it printed sideways and I used a lot of material up. And worst of all, I got my hopes up that I was going to be able to do something really exciting when I got home from work. And I come home from work and I can't do it. And I can't just turn around and print another one because it takes another day. That type of disillusionment / frustration / I can't figure it out is not for me. It's absolutely not for me. It's not for my personality, and it would drive me bananas. 2025 seems to be the average shipping I see for a lot of product from Europe on eBay. Yeah, which is why I haven't gotten any of it from Europe. It's just too tall an order for me, you know. As I like to say, I don't need it bad enough. So, okay, back to the KV. Okay, we're starting in backwards order, so we're going to do the B first. All right. And about how tall are they? Got it. Okay. Then we have an O. So that's not good for my personality, where all of a sudden my time has just been wasted on something that just disappears. I've been there, and no. My hobby is to is therapy, not create more frustration. I don't volunteer to do things that are frustrating for free. Okay, and then we have a P. We have a 3D printer at work. It's not a very good one. It's been down for a year and a half because nobody can fix it. I don't need that shit in my life. I don't need that shit in my life. So I'm not opposed to 3D printed products. I'm not opposed to buying 3D printed products. I just don't want to be the one printing them. Okay, another O. You know the instructions on all those things. There's going to be like those Chinese instructions that all the words are there, but they're jumbled in the wrong order. Like you look at the, like I ordered a horn for my car, right? I wanted a horn that sounded a little bit more assertive for my vehicle. So I've found that there was a video on how to replace it on YouTube, and I've done lots of car-related things on YouTube as long as there's a video for it. And I get this, and the instructions for the horn don't match the horn I got. And the installation video for that horn doesn't match the instructions or the horn I got. So I'm like, all right, I can figure this out. So I start doing this stuff, and then you get to the part where it's like you got to connect it to a battery and all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm really outside my comfort zone. Where best case scenario, I'm going to discharge the battery, and worst case scenario, short it and burn my car to a crisp. I'm like, I only have one car, so yeah, I don't want to do that. So I backed out, returned it to Amazon. I'm like, not doing that, not doing that type thing. I just got a bad feeling about this, Sarge. Sometimes you're already paying $20 for a kit. I'm not going to pay $45 and wait a month for a kit. No thanks. I'll just end up finding an option from the States where the shipping's affordable. And the shipping was affordable from England pre-COVID. And then it wasn't. And it's not the exchange rate. Somebody told me that the U.S. Postal Service put some kind of tariff, and the British one responded in kind. Hey, I'm not a fan of the U.S. Postal Service. I'm not. They do things like, we tried to deliver, you'll be waiting for some package, and we tried to deliver it, but you refused it. Like, first of all, you didn't deliver it. And second of all, I wouldn't refuse it. I've been sitting at home waiting for it. So, yeah, people who do shit like that, I'm going to pop them in the mouth. So, yeah, I'm not going to take the side of the U.S. Postal Service. Sorry. Hey, go for it. Go for it. Get you some painting. What do you work on? Go for it. I know you've come on several times. What is your area of interest? Doesn't really matter. I'm just curious. And then a B. This side's not coming out as well. I can already tell you that already. We're gonna have to do some cleanup. Shit happens. Keeps me from being perfect. But you know what? It doesn't have to look perfect. Probably the person who painted this was hopped up on cheap vodka. Okay, it's actually not that bad. Hopped up on cheap vodka. All right, now we got that tall C that's curled on both ends. That ain't too bad. And then we have the 700 over here as well. In Soviet Russia, vodka drink you, comrade. That's right. A long time ago, when I used to play World of Tanks on the computer, there'd be like this starting time where you could just chat and stuff before the round. And anytime I got in a Soviet vehicle, I'd get everybody all worked up with. I heard my favorite one I heard all time. In Soviet Russia, girl penetrate you. And it was just like, I always get everybody all worked up. But, I'd only do that if I was playing a Soviet vehicle. Which, man, I love that A20. That fast little booger. It's a good looking tank. It's like a mini BT7. It's like an even better looking BT7. Like a mini T-34. You hear chimes and church sounding music. I think it's a sign that you need to go to service on Sunday. Started almost 3 years ago, back, but originally collected diecast. Yeah, I hadn't built models in a long time myself either, till a couple years ago. I'm enjoying it more than I ever did. And you guys are part of the enjoyment. I don't really care for doing hobbies as a solitary sport, you know? Nobody to talk to about it. Nordic, if you were part of the crew of my ship, you'd be the sonar man. You hear all kinds of crap. You hear things that haven't even been said yet. Huh? Hey, Justin. We're just cleaning this up a little bit. Is this the one that has the... No, that's the other ones that has the white dot on it. Suvorov. Suvorov, the guy from... Was he Suvorov one of those Napoleonic people, or is it... or is he somebody else? Or is he pre-Napoleonic? We'll clean that up in a little bit when we do the other one. Okay. The other one is Hunter. Oh, fighter, not hunter. Excuse me. Okay. Hetekabepnepep. That's what it looks like. You're all about tanks. Compromise is just about all my war games. Have started to include more infantry, though. It's all important. Okay. Where is the other KV with no additional armor on it? This guy right here. Hunter. Okay, this one we're going to start. We're going to start at one end because we don't want to run out of space. And this is a long-winded word. All right, we got a H-looking thing. Okay, and it's got kind of a crossbar down at an angle. Kind of like that. Suvorov is Napoleonic. The Heineman! How you doing, man? Is there a tank? I know lots of tank fans. Is there a tank model? Is there a certain tank that you're like, I would never build that because you don't like it? You know, is there a certain tank out there you're like, I'm not building one of those things. I can't stand that thing. I don't care for World War I tanks. They're just unattractive. Now we got a C. Give me a C. All right, I'll give you a C. Chill out. Chillax. A T. Remember, do the vertical. If you start with a horizontal, you're going to make the horizontal longer. I'm actually going to move on to the next letter before I do the horizontal. You'll end up having it encroach too much on the next letter, and then the spacing won't look right. How do I know that? Because I've done it! That's how. This is a P. Or I should say, it looks like a P. Now we'll do the horizontal. So that way you get the spacing on it correct. The Puma. Puma's not a tank, man. In the World War II, more and me have one or two modern vehicles in a collection. What's your wife watching? Probably some Lifetime movie. One of them girly things. Warhammer tanks. You'd never do Warhammer tanks. Yeah, I wouldn't do them either. They're silly. The thing about Warhammer is their things are big, but they only shoot this far. Like, they're extremely nearsighted combat. You know? She's got the volume really low. I can barely hear it. It has a dirt dent. I got one here. I got a Puma. You don't really hate it. You're just tired that everybody likes it, probably. Which I don't blame you. That's a legitimate reason. That's a legitimate reason to dislike something that everybody likes it. I'm not a big fan of the P-51. Why? Everybody loves the P-51. And while I don't dislike the P-51, you know, I'm not like a fanboy of it. I certainly like the P-51 a lot better than a Hellcat. I am definitely in the Hellcat haters club because I don't like how it looks. And I don't like the paint schemes that they had for it. Double whammy. And by the time they show up, the Pacific War is just like, you know, so one-sided I wouldn't want to war game it. Again, not to downplay the sacrifices that the veterans did. I'm just saying I don't want to war game anything in 1944 in the Pacific. Look, in the far future, everyone's nearsighted. It's recently extremely nearsighted. Extremely nearsighted. Do you like the other armored cars of the 234 series, just not the Puma? I don't like it because everyone likes it and it doesn't come in Panzer Gray. Fair enough. Yeah, one of those things you find out that everybody likes and it's like, what's the big deal, man? Like, I'm out, you know? What else is like that? What else is like? I want to say there's lots of things that are that way. Cars are certainly that way. E, and then this other weird ass symbol. Going to go down, and then like a little box over here, and then it comes up at an angle, and then we go across the top like that. Okay, and then another one of them H's. And then a T. You like the SDK of Z234-1. That was the most common one of them. I thought for some reason I was thinking they came out at Kursk, but you know, a 231 or that series looks really weird in Dunkelgelb. Really, really weird. Those guys only belong in the Afrika Korps or freaking Panzer Gray. Looks interesting. You prefer the smaller 222 and the other 8 rad armored cars Germany used. H, a T, and then an E, another E. And then a lambda. I guess that's a lambda. Lambda symbol. And then the last one looks like a B. A lowercase b. Close enough. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. But I don't want to run a space. I don't want to run out of space here, so I got to write them backwards. So we got to start with a B on this side. Okay, and then the lambda. Okay, I got a quiz for you guys, for you experts. How many are people on here? 6. You guys will be able to help me figure this out. This is a legitimate question. Okay, I'm going to pull this out for me. Tell me what I should use to glue this together with. This is a legit question, and I don't know. My gut instinct is epoxy. Okay? And this is the Pack 36 set from Hot. And the problem is, it's soft plastic. And when I mean it's soft plastic, this bitch is soft. What the hell do I glue this thing with? I don't even know. And I hope it's not a hot glue gun because I don't have one. But these guys come with little Afrika Korps dudes. And I know I can prime them with this stuff. This stuff will work just fine. I'm going to paint them with acrylics. But this be a nice little thing to shoot at this A13 with. What the hell do I put this thing together with? I mean, it's so super bendy. Super, super bendy. I got this from Noble Knight. Super, super bendy. It's bendier than Airfix figures. I think I'm going to try epoxy. What do you wizards say? Problem with using like a hot glue gun is got to be really careful you don't like melt something you're not supposed to. And if you're wondering, hey, why didn't I finish that Archer I started to work on? Well, I may make the Archer Canadian. And I may make it in Italy, which means I think I want to do the basing a little bit different in Italy. That's why. I'm just kind of thinking about it. Oh, let's not put my finger over the other one and have to redo it. Okay, and then an H goes over here. Okay, and then we have that funky B, which is actually kind of a cool symbol. Whatever freaking letter of the make-believe alphabet is. You'll have to use plastic cement, wouldn't you? So it welds. No, it won't weld that. It has too much oil in it. So it's like a rubber tire. I'd love if it was plastic cement, man. I'm good with that freaking weld cement. Weld cement won't touch that. I love weld cement, especially with the tiny little applicator that I have. And then another E here. And then a P. If normal super glue doesn't work or epoxy, try baking powder and glue. Works really fast and sticks good, but hot glue gun may work best considering the baking powder trick is usually for vinyl. Though considering how soft it might be able to work. What kind of glue do I use with baking powder? There's 4 of them that come in a pack, so I could fuck up 2 of them and be okay with it and still live with myself. But I'd rather not. P. And a T. We're almost done with this thing. That's just kind of uncharted territory for me. That's something a lot of people don't do. They're afraid of saying, I don't know what to do here. It's okay. We can't be experts at everything. And sometimes realizing that you don't know what the hell you're doing will save you from creating some kind of a fatal problem, you know? Fighter! Wash the sprues in warm soapy water. Check. Scrub with an old toothbrush to remove that oily residue. Check. And mold release. Otherwise, the paint won't stick. Usually use Loctite glue for my models. Used to use Gorilla, but honestly it was a major downgrade compared to Loctite. Loctite's what I have too. But maybe we'll do an experiment. Well, we're not going to do it live. I don't want to sit there and make I'll admit where I make freaking mistakes, but it just seems like this is just fraught with problems. But like I said, I got 4 of them, so the detail on them seems to be okay. They might fit together without even using any glue. I know that sounds crazy, but it may work. Oh, we need to fix that B up a little bit. And then the H up here. Okay, and that one's done. All right. Now, the ones with the rivets on them. We're doing one as 309. Well, I like this other one as 14. What if you used clean? I don't know, the damn heart's in the way. What if you used clean something, then glue like you use for PVC pipe? I don't have any of that stuff. That stuff's pretty toxic. I know some people say, "Oh, use PVA." I don't trust PVA with nothing. It's just not. It's not. I can't count on it too much. It's shifty. What if I use? We'll see. Somebody type something so I can see what it is. Hey, I can't type anything. What if I used cleaner, then glue like you use for PVC pipe? I don't know. I could ask. I figured you guys would be better than just asking on a forum, because a forum people will just throw all kinds of stupid things on there. We have 2 tanks. I'll use the one that has a little white dot for the commander one. So this will be 14. Okay, so let's. And it's in between these 2 rivets, not the last 2, these 2. So we're going to do a 1. And we're going to do the 4. which looks kind of like that. We're obviously going to fill it in a little bit more. I'm going to go to the other side and make sure that we've got everything kind of in the same place. Oh, and by the way, there is a tiny little on the end of this one. I'd say a tail, but it's the leading edge. Okay. And there a number on the back? There is. There's a number on the back here by the turret. And it doesn't look in the same style as the other one. So that's comforting. Okay, let's just fill those in now. Give them some bulk, and we should be good to go. I've never worked with hat miniatures either. Let's flip to the other side. All right, we got a 14. We got a 14. And we got a 14. Okay? And obviously we're going to weather over those. And the command tank is the one we're calling 309. And it has a white dot back here, back in this corner. And they're spaced out. It's interesting. Look at these 309s on either side of the turret. They definitely look like they're hand painted because they look a lot better here in the top one and the bottom one. The spacing's all off on it. So I'm not going to try to do the spacing off. I just know that if it's off a little bit, I shouldn't fret over it. Right? So let's try to do them the right way, like the top one. Okay, and they're running in between this number and the small one. So they're writing in between that area there. That's a nice 3. Did you hear that song? Damn woman's hearing. I got it, I got it. I love 80s music as a general rule. So what I was doing is on the way to work, I'd pick a year. I'd pick like, I'd start with 1980, then 81, or whatever. And I did like, I did pop hits because, the rock stuff I listen to all the time. But it's like, and if somebody said, do I like 80s music? Yes. But man, there's some tunes I absolutely can't stand to freaking hear ever again from the 80s that got a lot of radio play and probably still play them. Like, everybody ever made a playlist of songs you hate? Like, I hate these songs. Here's a playlist of them. Like, that's just like torturing yourself. And that particular song you mentioned is not one I hate. I was just reminded me of that. Yeah, this 0 is damn near square. And it's not super narrow the way their stuff normally is. There is the right way, the wrong way, and the Soviet way. And this 9 looks like it is so squared off, it looks like it belongs on a MiG-23. And that's one of those aircraft that I really like. I really like the way a MiG-23 looks. I don't care that it's a piece of crap. I like the way a MiG-23 looks. It looks good in silver. It looks good in camouflage. I'm a fan. I am a fan. And even this one has a tiny little tail on it that curls up. So it's something like that. And we'll move on to the other side. And then the 0 that's damn near square. And then what's on the back? This is the one that has that circle back here. We're going to have a circle back there. Let's fill these things up. All right, now let's do this circle. Definitely want to use the flow improver with this. So this is 309. Now, I'm not going to paint over this thing and weather it just yet until we know this is damn near dry. But when we come back in the morning, this is what we'll work on, is finishing these guys up. Weathering them. Because, heck, the painting after the weathering takes place in, like, no time. And look who's been waiting in the wings over here. Oh, we got crewmen, and these guys are actually plastic figures, and they're actually good-looking figures. And they should be able to fit in nicely like this. Do I prefer hand priming or airbrush priming? Figures, hand priming. Vehicles, airbrush priming. Where's the other guy? You got another guy. It's kind of laying on the side of the turret here. I had to modify him some. Let's see, what's he looking like? What's this clown looking like? Now this guy's got to sit a little deeper in there. It's not for. I think he's the one that. I think he's the guy that fits in the KV. Yeah, because the KV's got a lot more space down there. Yeah, so he's going to be sitting inside the KV like so. And then, of course, we'll paint them on here, and then we'll attach them later. Who else we got in here? We got a guy looking through the binocs. And then my favorite guy is never accept flowers from a communist. They rape on the first date. So we got 4 guys with open hatches. 1, 2. Where's the 4th one? Well, I got to put the hatch in this in the KV. Only one KV2 is going to have an open hatch. So, anyhow, this is where we will come back in the morning and work on those guys. So, as always, thanks for stopping by, folks. We'll see you guys in the morning if you're morning people. If not, we'll catch you later on, maybe in the airbrush session. I really don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll just play it by ear. I don't have any big plans this weekend, so they need some tankers carrying signal flags. This set didn't come with any, but I do have signal flag guys in the turrets of my T-34s. Okay, folks, thanks for stopping by.